The doorbell rang 3 times. Each ring was longer and louder than the last, like someone was pressing it with their whole hand instead of just one finger. I was in my kitchen making lunch for my daughter Emma when I heard it. The sound made my heart jump in my chest. Nobody rings a doorbell like that unless something bad is happening. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked to the front door. Through the small window at the top, I could see a woman standing on my porch. She had long blonde hair that looked like it came from a bottle, and she was wearing a bright red dress that was too fancy for a Tuesday afternoon. Next to her stood my ex-husband, Michael. My hands started shaking. Behind them was a moving truck. A big one. The kind you use when you're taking all of someone's furniture. The woman, Michael's new wife Jessica, had the biggest, meanest smile I'd ever seen. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a cat has right before it catches a mouse. I opened the door just a crack. "What do you want?" I asked. Jessica's smile got even bigger. She pushed the door open wider with her hand, and I stumbled back a little. "We're here for our—" she started to say. But before she could finish, my daughter Emma came running down the stairs. "Daddy!" she screamed with joy. "Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments. And if you want to know what happens next, make sure you subscribe to this channel to support our growth." Let me take you back to the beginning, back to when everything was normal, back to before my whole world fell apart. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a small blue house on Maple Street with my 8-year-old daughter, Emma. The house isn't fancy, but it's ours. Well, it's supposed to be ours. 2 years ago, Michael left me, just like that. One day he was my husband, and the next day he was packing his clothes into garbage bags and walking out the door. He said he needed space. He said he needed to find himself. He said a lot of things that didn't make any sense. What he didn't say was that he had met someone else. Someone younger. Someone who didn't have stretch marks from carrying his baby. Someone who didn't get tired at night because she spent all day working and taking care of a child. That someone was Jessica. I found out about her 3 months after Michael left. Emma came home from a visit to her dad's apartment and told me about the nice lady who made them pancakes. She said the lady had pretty hair and smelled like flowers. My heart broke into a million pieces that day, but I tried to be strong. For Emma, I couldn't let her see me cry. I couldn't let her know that Mommy wanted to scream and throw things and ask God why this was happening to us. The divorce took a year. A whole year of lawyers and papers and fighting about money and who gets Emma on which holidays. In the end, the judge said we had to sell our house and split the money. But Michael asked if he could wait to sell it. He said he was having financial troubles and couldn't find a place to live right away. He promised he would buy me out of my half of the house when he got back on his feet. I was stupid. I believed him. I signed papers that let him delay the sale of the house. But then something strange happened. Michael never asked me to leave. He moved in with Jessica instead. He left me and Emma in the house, and every month he sent money for his half of the mortgage. I thought maybe, just maybe, he was doing one decent thing. Maybe he felt bad about leaving us and wanted to make sure Emma had a stable home. I should have known better. For 18 months, everything was okay. Not great, but okay. Emma went to school. I worked at the library downtown. We made dinners together. We watched movies on Friday nights. We built a life. Michael would come get Emma every other weekend. He never came inside the house. He would just honk the horn, and Emma would run out with her little backpack. I tried not to think about him. I tried not to think about Jessica. I tried to focus on being the best mom I could be. But 3 months ago, things started to change. Michael stopped sending the mortgage money on time. First, it was 2 days late. Then a week late, then 2 weeks late. I called him and he didn't answer. I texted him, and he responded with short messages. "Busy. We'll send soon." I started to worry. What if he stopped paying completely? I couldn't afford the whole mortgage by myself. My job at the library didn't pay enough. Then, 2 months ago, Michael got married to Jessica. Emma showed me pictures on his phone when she came back from a weekend visit. They had gotten married at a beach somewhere. Jessica wore a white dress that looked like it cost more money than I made in 3 months. Michael looked happy. really happy. Happier than he ever looked with me. I cried that night after Emma went to bed. I cried for the man I used to love. I cried for the life I thought we would have together. I cried for all the dreams that died. But I didn't know the worst was yet to come. Last month I got a letter in the mail. It was from a lawyer I'd never heard of. The letter said that Michael was demanding his half of the house equity immediately. It said that since I couldn't buy him out, the house had to be sold right away. The letter also said something that made my blood run cold. According to the divorce agreement, Michael had the right to move back into the house until it was sold. I read that line over and over again. Move back into the house? How could that be possible? We were divorced. I called my lawyer, the one I had used during the divorce. Her name was Mrs. Patterson, and she had seemed nice enough back then. Is this true? I asked her. Can he really move back in? There was a long pause on the phone. I'm looking at your agreement now, Mrs. Patterson said slowly. Oh dear. Those two words, oh dear, made my stomach feel sick. What? I asked. What is it? Sarah, did you read the whole agreement before you signed it? Of course I did, I said. But even as I said it, I wasn't sure if it was true. The divorce had been so stressful. There were so many papers, so many legal words I didn't understand. There's a clause here, Mrs. Patterson said. It says that since the house wasn't sold immediately as originally planned, Michael retains his rights as a co-owner. That includes the right to occupy the property. But he left, I shouted into the phone. He chose to leave. He moved in with her. I understand, Mrs. Patterson said in that calm voice lawyers use when they're about to tell you something terrible. But legally, he has the right to return. And now that he's requesting his equity, he's within his rights to live there until the house is sold. I felt like the floor was disappearing under my feet. So what do? I whispered. You can try to negotiate with him, she said. Maybe offer to buy him out over time. Or you could file a motion to challenge this, but that would cost money and take time, and honestly, Sarah, I don't think you'd win. I hung up the phone and sat on my kitchen floor for an hour. Just sat there, staring at nothing. How had this happened? How had I been so stupid? That was 3 weeks ago. For 3 weeks, I waited. I waited for Michael to call. I waited for another letter from his lawyer. I waited for something to happen. And then, this morning, I got a text message from Michael. It just said, coming by at noon. Need to talk. I looked at the clock. It was 11:45. My hands started shaking again, just like they were shaking now as I stood in my doorway, looking at Michael and Jessica and that terrible smile on her face. Emma hugged her father's legs. Daddy, are you staying for lunch? Mommy's making grilled cheese. Michael picked Emma up and kissed her cheek. But his eyes weren't on Emma. They were on me. Actually, Princess, he said to Emma. Daddy has some news. Jessica stepped closer to the door. She was still smiling that awful smile. We're here for our house, she said, finishing the sentence she had started before. We're moving in. Today. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. What? I whispered. Jessica walked past me into my house, into my house. Like she owned it. I guess legally she kind of did. Or at least Michael did, and she was his wife now. You can't do this, I said. But my voice was so quiet I barely heard it myself. Actually, we can, Jessica said. She pulled a piece of paper out of her purse and handed it to me. This is from our lawyer. It says we have every right to move back into this property. So you can either accept that, or we can call the police and have them explain it to you. I looked at Michael, the man I had loved since I was 23 years old, the man I had married in my grandmother's garden, the man whose baby I had carried and whose hand I had held in the hospital when Emma was born. Michael, I said, please, don't do this. Think about Emma. For just a second, just one tiny second, I saw something in his eyes. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was shame. Maybe it was a small piece of the man I used to know. But then Jessica put her hand on his arm, and whatever I had seen disappeared. Sarah, this is my house too, he said. I've been paying the mortgage. You've been late paying the mortgage, I shouted. Emma jumped in his arms, scared by my loud voice. "Mommy, why are you yelling?" Emma asked. She looked like she might cry. I took a deep breath. I couldn't do this in front of Emma. I couldn't let her see me fall apart. "It's okay, baby," I said, trying to smile. "Mommy and Daddy just need to talk about grown-up stuff." Jessica walked through my living room like she was shopping for furniture. She touched my couch. She looked at the pictures on the wall, pictures of me and Emma, pictures of Emma as a baby, pictures of my parents who had died 5 years ago. "This is all going to have to go," Jessica said, waving her hand around. "We'll need to redecorate. This place looks like it's stuck in 2010. Something inside me snapped. "Get out," I said. Jessica turned around and laughed. Actually laughed. "Excuse me?" she said. I said, "Get out of my house." "It's not your house," Jessica said. Her smile was gone now. Her face was hard and mean. "It's our house. Michael and I are married, which means what's his is mine. And half of this house is his." Michael put Emma down. "Emma, go upstairs to your room for a minute, okay?" "But Daddy." "Now, Emma." Emma looked at me with big, scared eyes. I nodded at her, and she ran upstairs. As soon as she was gone, I turned to Michael. "How could you do this?" I asked. Tears were running down my face now, and I didn't care. "How could you bring her here? This is Emma's home. This is where she feels safe. And she'll still be here," Michael said. "We're not kicking you out, Sarah. We're just moving in too, until the house sells." "You mean until you force me to sell it?" I said. "You planned this. You stopped paying on time so I'd run out of money. You waited until I was desperate. And now you're swooping in with her." I pointed at Jessica. "To take the only thing I have left." "Oh, please," Jessica said, rolling her eyes. "Stop being so dramatic. You'll get your half of the money when the house sells. You'll be fine." "Where am I supposed to go?" I shouted. "Where is Emma supposed to go? Do you know how hard it is to find a place to rent around here? Do you know how much apartments cost?" "Not my problem," Jessica said with a shrug. I looked at Michael again. "Please," I begged. "Please don't do this. I'm begging you. For Emma's sake. She's your daughter. Don't put her through this." Michael looked at the floor. "I'm sorry, Sarah, but I need this money. We need this money." "For what?" I asked. "What do you need so much money for?" Jessica's hand went to her stomach, and suddenly I understood. "Oh my God," I whispered. "You're pregnant." Jessica's smile came back. 3 months, she said proudly. "We're having a boy. We already picked out a name. Michael Jr." The room started spinning. Michael was having another baby. With her. And they needed money for their new baby, so they were taking away the home of his first baby. I thought I might throw up. "You're going to make Emma homeless so you can prepare for your new family?" I asked Michael. "Nobody's making Emma homeless," Michael said, but he wouldn't look at me. "She can stay here with you until the house sells. We'll all just share the space for a few weeks." "Share the space," I repeated. "You want me to live with you and your pregnant wife?" "It won't be for long," Michael said. "A month, maybe 2. Once the house sells, you'll have enough money to get your own place." "And what about Emma's school?" I asked. "What about her friends? What about the fact that this is the only home she's ever known?" "Kids are resilient," Jessica said. "She'll adjust." I wanted to hit her. I actually wanted to walk over and slap that smug smile off her face. But I didn't, because that's not who I am. And because Emma might come back downstairs any second. "Fine," I said quietly. "You want to move in? Fine. But you stay out of my way. You stay in different rooms. You don't touch Emma's things. And you," I pointed at Jessica. "You don't talk to my daughter unless I say you can." Jessica laughed. "I don't think you get to make rules here, sweetie." "Actually, I do," I said. "Because Emma is my daughter. And if you upset her, if you confuse her, if you make her feel unsafe in her own home, I will make your life a living hell. Legal or not, pregnant or not, I will fight you every single day." For the first time, Jessica's smile faded a little. Are we clear? I asked. Jessica looked at Michael. Michael looked at me, and finally he nodded. We'll stay out of your way, he said. I promise. Your promises don't mean much to me anymore, I said. Outside, the moving truck started backing up into my driveway. I need to get Emma, I said. She shouldn't see this. I ran upstairs and found Emma sitting on her bed, holding her favorite stuffed rabbit. Mommy, what's happening? She asked. Why is Daddy bringing a truck? I sat down next to her and pulled her close. Daddy's going to stay here for a little while, I said. Just until we figure some things out. Like when you and Daddy lived together before? Emma asked hopefully. My heart broke all over again. No, baby. Not like that. Daddy and Jessica are going to stay in the guest room. But you and I will still be in our rooms, just like always. Is Jessica nice? Emma asked. I thought about lying. I thought about saying yes because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to protect your kids from ugly truths. But something in me couldn't do it. I don't know, honey, I said honestly. But Mommy will always protect you, no matter what, okay? Emma nodded and hugged her rabbit tighter. Downstairs, I heard furniture being moved around. I heard Jessica's high-pitched voice giving orders. I heard my life being invaded by two people who had already taken so much from me. I looked out Emma's window and saw them unloading boxes from the truck. So many boxes, like they planned to stay forever. And then I saw something that made my stomach drop. In the back of the truck was a crib. A brand new crib, still in its box. They weren't just moving in temporarily. They were planning to have their baby here. In my house. In the home I had built for Emma. I pulled out my phone and texted my sister, Michelle. Need help. Emergency. Can you call me? 3 dots appeared immediately. Then my phone rang. What's wrong? Michelle asked as soon as I answered. Michael moved in, I said quietly so Emma wouldn't hear. He brought Jessica. They have a moving truck. Michelle, they're taking over my house. What? Michelle screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. He can't do that. Apparently he can, I said. The divorce papers. I messed up. I didn't read them carefully enough. He has a right to be here. Michelle swore. My sister never swore unless things were really bad. I'm coming over, she said. I'm leaving work right now. Don't let them push you around, Sarah. Don't let them. Michelle, there's more, I interrupted. Jessica's pregnant. Silence on the other end. Michelle, I'm going to kill him, Michelle said. And she didn't sound like she was joking. I'm actually going to kill your ex-husband. Get in line, I muttered. I'll be there in 20 minutes, Michelle said. Don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. And for God's sake, don't leave Emma alone with those people. She hung up. I looked at Emma, who was still holding her rabbit and looking at me with those big, trusting eyes. Is Aunt Michelle coming? She asked. Yeah, baby, she is. Good, Emma said. Aunt Michelle always makes things better. If only that were true, I thought. Downstairs, something heavy crashed. Jessica squealed. Michael shouted something I couldn't hear. They were here. They were really here. And I had no idea how I was going to survive this. But as I held Emma close and listened to my home being invaded, I made myself a promise. They might have the law on their side. They might have money and lawyers and legal rights. But this was still my daughter's home. And I would fight to protect her no matter what it cost me. Even if it meant living under the same roof as the man who broke my heart and the woman who stole my life. The war had just begun, and I had no idea how much worse things were about to get. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Chapter 2 is coming soon, and trust me, you won't believe what happens next. The first night was the worst night of my life. After the moving truck left, Michael and Jessica had filled the guest room with their things. But it wasn't just the guest room. Their boxes were everywhere. In the hallway, in the living room, even in the kitchen. Jessica had brought 14 boxes just for her shoes. 14. I made dinner for Emma that night. Spaghetti, her favorite, and we ate in her room. I couldn't stand the thought of sitting at my kitchen table with them. Around 8 o'clock, After I tucked Emma into bed, I went downstairs to get a glass of water. That's when I saw them. Michael and Jessica were sitting on my couch. My couch that I had picked out. My couch that I had saved money for 6 months to buy. My couch where Emma and I watched movies every Friday night. Jessica had her feet up on the coffee table. She was eating ice cream straight from the container. My ice cream. The chocolate chip cookie dough that I bought for Emma. That's Emma's ice cream, I said. Jessica looked at me and shrugged. There's more in the freezer, isn't there? That's not the point. Sarah, please, Michael said, rubbing his forehead like I was giving him a headache. Can we not fight about ice cream? I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him that this wasn't about ice cream. This was about respect. This was about the fact that they had invaded my home and were acting like they owned everything in it. But I didn't scream. I just filled my glass with water and went back upstairs. I didn't sleep at all that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to them move around downstairs, listening to Jessica's laugh, listening to Michael's voice, soft and gentle, the way he used to talk to me. Around midnight, I heard them come upstairs. Their bedroom, the guest room, was right next to mine. The walls were thin. I heard everything. The bed creaking, Jessica giggling, Michael saying something I couldn't quite hear. I put my pillow over my head and cried as quietly as I could. The next morning, I woke up at 6 o'clock, like always. I needed to get Emma ready for school and myself ready for work. But when I went downstairs, Jessica was already in the kitchen. She was wearing a silk robe that barely covered her legs. Her hair was perfect, like she had just come from a salon. She was making coffee in my coffee maker with my coffee. "Good morning," she said in a cheerful voice that made me want to throw something. I didn't answer. I just walked past her to get Emma's lunchbox. "You know," Jessica said, leaning against the counter, "we need to talk about how this is going to work." "What's there to talk about?" I asked, not looking at her. "Well, for starters, the kitchen schedule. I like to make breakfast for Michael at 7. So maybe you could make Emma's breakfast earlier? Like at 6:30. I stopped what I was doing and turned to look at her. "Are you serious right now?" "I'm just trying to avoid conflicts," Jessica said with an innocent smile. "We're all sharing this space, so we need to coordinate." "This is my house," I said slowly. "I've been making Emma breakfast at 7 o'clock every morning for 8 years. If you want to make Michael breakfast, you can do it at 6:30. Or 8. Or whenever I'm done with the kitchen." Jessica's smile disappeared. "Actually, it's Michael's house too, which means it's my house. So I think we need to be fair about sharing." "Fair?" I repeated. "You think any of this is fair?" Before Jessica could answer, Michael came down the stairs. He was already dressed for work in a suit and tie. "What's going on?" he asked. "Your wife thinks she can kick me out of my own kitchen," I said. "That's not what I said," Jessica protested. "I just suggested that we need a schedule." "There's no schedule," I interrupted. "I use the kitchen in the morning to make Emma breakfast and pack her lunch. When I'm done, you can use it. That's the schedule." Michael looked uncomfortable. "Sarah, can you just—" "No," I said firmly. "No, I can't just anything. This is my routine with my daughter. If you don't like it, you can leave." Michael's jaw tightened. "We already talked about this. We're not leaving." "Then deal with it," I said. I grabbed Emma's lunchbox and went back upstairs to wake her up. Emma was groggy and confused when I got her out of bed. "Mommy, is Daddy still here?" "Yes, baby. Daddy's downstairs." "Can we have breakfast with him?" Emma asked hopefully. My heart ached. "Not today, honey. Daddy has to leave for work soon. But maybe this weekend." I helped Emma get dressed and brush her teeth. When we came back downstairs, Jessica was sitting at the kitchen table, eating toast. She had made herself right at home. Michael was standing by the door with his briefcase. "Daddy!" Emma ran to him and hugged his waist. "Hey, princess," Michael said, picking her up. "How'd you sleep?" "Good. Are you staying here now?" "Forever." Michael glanced at me. I glared back at him. "For a little while," he said to Emma. "Until Mommy and I figure some things out." But you and Mommy aren't together anymore, Emma said with the brutal honesty that only 8-year-olds have. Miss Patterson at school said when parents get divorced, they live in different houses. That's usually true, Michael said. But sometimes it's more complicated. Why is it complicated? Emma asked. Because your father makes bad choices, I muttered. Sarah, Michael snapped. Mommy, don't be mean, Emma said. And those words hurt worse than anything Jessica or Michael could say. I took a deep breath. You're right, baby. I'm sorry. Daddy, you should go. You don't want to be late for work. Michael put Emma down and kissed the top of her head. Be good today, okay? Okay, Daddy. He walked toward the door, then stopped and looked at me. Sarah, can we talk later? After work. About what? About this. About how we're going to make this work. There's nothing to talk about, I said. You've made your decision. Now we all have to live with it. Michael looked like he wanted to say something else, but Jessica called out, Honey, don't forget your phone. She walked over and handed it to him, making sure to stand close and touch his arm. She was marking her territory, like a dog. Michael left, and I quickly made Emma's breakfast cereal and strawberries. We ate together at the table while Jessica scrolled through her phone, still sitting there in her robe like she had nowhere else to be. Don't you have a job? I asked her. Jessica looked up. I'm in between opportunities right now. So you're unemployed. I prefer to think of it as taking time to focus on my pregnancy and my marriage, Jessica said with that fake sweet voice again. Must be nice, I muttered. After breakfast, I drove Emma to school. On the drive, she was quiet, which wasn't like her. Usually she talked nonstop about her friends and what she was learning and what game they were going to play at recess. Are you okay, baby? I asked. Mommy, why does Daddy have to live with us? I gripped the steering wheel tighter. It's complicated, honey. Is it because of Jessica's baby? I almost drove off the road. What? Jessica told me yesterday that she's having a baby, Emma said. A boy. She said he's going to be my little brother. My vision went red. Jessica had told Emma? Without asking me first? Without letting me prepare her? When did she tell you this? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. When you were in the kitchen yesterday. Daddy brought me into their room to show me his new clothes, and Jessica was there. She showed me a picture on her phone. The baby looks like a little bean. An ultrasound picture. Jessica had shown my daughter an ultrasound picture. How do you feel about that? I asked carefully. About having a brother? Emma was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Will Daddy love him more than me? I had to pull the car over. I couldn't drive anymore. My eyes were too full of tears. I turned to Emma and took her small hands in mine. Emma, listen to me. Your daddy loves you so. So much. Nothing will ever change that. Not a new baby. Not Jessica. Nothing. You are his first child, his princess, and that's special. Do you understand? Emma nodded, but she didn't look convinced. And Mommy loves you more than anything in the whole world, I continued. No matter what happens, no matter who lives in our house, that will never change. Okay? Okay, Mommy. I drove her the rest of the way to school, but my mind was racing. How dare Jessica tell Emma about the pregnancy without talking to me first? How dare she show her ultrasound pictures like this was all normal and happy? After I dropped Emma off, I called Michelle. They're destroying her, I said as soon as Michelle answered. They're confusing her and hurting her, and I don't know what to do. What happened? Michelle asked. I told her about Jessica telling Emma about the baby. Michelle swore again, loudly. That woman has no boundaries. Sarah, you need to set rules. Clear rules. And if they don't follow them, you need to. Need what? I interrupted. They have legal rights to be there. The lawyer said so. Then get a new lawyer, Michelle said. Get someone who will fight for you. With what money? I asked. Michelle, I'm barely making it as it is. I can't afford another lawyer. Then I'll pay for it, Michelle said. No, I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Sarah, you're my sister. I'm not going to stand by and watch these people ruin your life. I started crying again. I don't know what to do. First, you're going to stop crying, Michelle said firmly. Then you're going to go to work, do your job, and when you get home, you're going to sit down with Michael and Jessica and set boundaries. Write them down, make them clear, and tell them if they violate any of those boundaries, especially when it comes to Emma, there will be consequences. What consequences? I have no power here. Yes, you do, Michelle said. You're Emma's mother. You have all the power when it comes to her. If they want access to Emma, they follow your rules. That's non-negotiable. Michelle was right. I did have power over one thing, my daughter. Okay, I said, wiping my eyes. Okay, I'll talk to them tonight. Do you want me to be there? Michelle asked. No, I need to do this myself. I went to work at the library. Usually I loved my job. I loved helping people find books. I loved the quiet. I loved being surrounded by stories. But today I couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking about Emma's face when she asked if Michael would love his new baby more than her. Around lunchtime, my boss, Mrs. Chun, called me into her office. Sarah, is everything okay? She asked kindly. You seem distracted today. I'm fine, I lied. Mrs. Chun gave me a look that said she didn't believe me. If you need to talk, or if you need time off, just let me know. Thank you, I said. But I'm okay. Really. I wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. When I got home that afternoon, Jessica's car was in the driveway. She was home. Of course she was home. She had nowhere else to be. I walked inside and found her in my living room, surrounded by shopping bags. Oh good, you're home, Jessica said. I went shopping for baby things today. Want to see? No, I said flatly. Jessica's face fell. You don't have to be rude. And you don't have to shop for your baby in my living room. I shot back. It's not just your living room. Stop, I said, holding up my hand. Just stop. We need to talk. Where's Michael? He'll be home in an hour. Good. When he gets here, we're all sitting down and having a conversation. And this time, you're both going to listen to me. Jessica opened her mouth to argue, but something in my face must have stopped her. She just nodded. I went upstairs to change out of my work clothes. When I came back down, I started making dinner. Jessica stayed in the living room with her shopping bags, talking on the phone to someone about cribs and strollers and nursery decorations. Every word felt like a knife in my chest. At 5:30, Michael came home. Emma got home from her after-school program at 6. I had made spaghetti again. It was the easiest thing, and I was too tired to think about cooking anything complicated. Daddy! Emma ran to Michael as soon as she saw him. Hey, princess. How was school? Good. We learned about fractions. And at recess, Tommy said I run fast like a cheetah. Michael laughed and picked her up. For just a moment, he looked like the man I used to know. The man who loved his daughter more than anything. But then Jessica came over and kissed him on the lips, and the moment was gone. You, Emma said, making a face. Jessica laughed. You'll understand when you're older. No, she won't, I said sharply. Emma, go wash your hands for dinner. Emma ran off and I turned to Michael and Jessica. After dinner, we're talking, I said. All three of us. It's not optional. Michael nodded. Okay. Dinner was awkward. Emma tried to tell us about her day, but the tension at the table was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Jessica kept touching Michael's arm and feeding him bites of garlic bread. I wanted to throw my plate at the wall. After dinner, I sent Emma upstairs to do her homework. Then I sat down at the table with Michael and Jessica. I had written a list during my lunch break at work. I pulled it out now. These are the rules, I said. If you want to live here, you follow them. All of them. No exceptions. Jessica rolled her eyes. Here we go. Rule number 1. I interrupted, reading from my list. You do not make any decisions about Emma without consulting me first. That includes telling her about pregnancies, babies, or any major life changes. I'm her mother. I get to decide when and how she learns things. That's ridiculous, Jessica said. She was going to find out eventually. Rule number 2, I continued, ignoring her. You stay out of Emma's room. That's her private space. If she invites you in, fine. But you don't go in there without her permission or mine. Michael shifted uncomfortably. Sarah, that seems a bit extreme. Rule number 3. You do your own cooking, your own cleaning, and your own laundry. I'm not your maid. I'm not your mother. If you make a mess, you clean it up. We were planning to do that anyway, Michael said. Rule number 4. You keep your bedroom door closed at all times. I don't want Emma seeing or hearing anything inappropriate. Jessica's face turned red. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating a fact. This is a family home with a child in it. Act accordingly. Rule number 5. I continued. When I'm using the kitchen, you stay out. When I'm in the living room with Emma, you go somewhere else. This house has 4 bedrooms and 2 living spaces. There's no reason we need to be on top of each other all the time. So you want us to hide? Jessica asked. In our own house? I want you to respect our space, I said coldly. The same way I'll respect yours. Michael rubbed his temples. Sarah, I understand you're upset. Upset? I laughed bitterly. Michael, upset doesn't even begin to cover it. You brought your pregnant wife into the home where your daughter lives. The home where I'm trying to give her stability and security. And now you're acting like this is all perfectly normal. It's not normal. It's cruel. We didn't have a choice, Michael said. Yes, you did, I shouted. You could have stayed in your apartment. You could have waited until the house sold before moving anywhere. You could have thought about someone other than yourself for once. We needed the equity, Michael shouted back. We need money for the baby. And I need a home for Emma. But I guess your new baby is more important than your old one. The words hung in the air like poison. Michael's face went pale. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I was crying now and I didn't care. None of this is fair to me or to Emma. But I'm trying. I'm trying so hard to make this work. And all I'm asking, is that you follow some basic rules so we can survive this nightmare until the house sells. Jessica stood up. I don't have to listen to this. Michael, let's go to our room. Sit down, I said. We're not done. Actually, I think we are, Jessica said. You can make all the rules you want, but we're not prisoners here. If we want to use the kitchen, we'll use the kitchen. If we want to sit in the living room, we'll sit in the living room. You don't own this house, Sarah. Neither do you, I shot back. But Michael does, Jessica said with a nasty smile. And what's his is mine. She walked out of the room. A few seconds later, I heard their bedroom door slam. Michael stood up to follow her. Michael, wait, I said. He stopped but didn't turn around. Please, I said quietly. Please just think about Emma. That's all I'm asking. Think about what this is doing to her. Michael was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I am thinking about her. I'm thinking about both my children. The one I have and the one I'm about to have. And what about me? I whispered. Do you ever think about me? Michael finally turned around. His eyes were cold. You made it very clear during the divorce that you didn't want anything to do with me. You wanted me out of your life. Because you cheated on me, I said. Because you left us. I didn't cheat, Michael said. I met Jessica after we separated. You left me to be with her. That's the same thing. No, it's not, Michael said. I left because I was unhappy. I left because we weren't working anymore. So it's my fault? I asked. That's what you're saying? That I drove you away. I'm saying that marriages end. People change. And we changed. I didn't change, I said. I was the same person you married. The same person who supported you through grad school. The same person who gave up her dreams so you could pursue yours. The same person who loved you. And I'm grateful for all of that, Michael said. But gratitude isn't the same as love. Those words broke something inside me that I didn't even know was still whole. Get out, I whispered. Sarah, get out of my sight. Go to your pregnant wife. Go to your new life. Just get away from me. Michael left. I sat at the table alone, staring at my list of rules. None of it mattered. Rules, boundaries, conversations. None of it mattered because Michael didn't care. He had moved on. He had a new wife, a new baby, a new life, and I was just the obstacle in his way. Upstairs, I could hear Emma singing to herself while she did her homework. She sounded happy, innocent, unaware that her world was falling apart. I had to protect that. I had to protect her, no matter what it cost me, even if it meant living in this hell. Even if it meant watching Michael build a new family in the ruins of our old one. Even if it destroyed me in the process. I went upstairs and knocked on Emma's door. "Come in," she called. I opened the door and found her at her desk, working on math problems. Her tongue was sticking out a little, the way it always did when she was concentrating really hard. "How's the homework going?" I asked. "Good. Mommy, can you help me with number 7? I don't understand it." I sat down next to her and helped her work through the problem. For those few minutes, everything was normal. It was just me and Emma, working on homework together, like we did every night. But then Emma asked, "Mommy, is Daddy going to stay here forever?" And the moment shattered. "I don't know, baby," I said honestly. "But no matter what happens, you and I are going to be okay. I promise." Emma hugged me tight. "I love you, Mommy. I love you too, baby. More than anything in the world." After Emma went to bed, I went to my room and locked the door. I could hear Michael and Jessica talking in their room. I couldn't hear the words, but I could hear Jessica's voice, high and whiny, probably complaining about me. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. This was my life now. This was what it had come to, and I had no idea how much worse it was about to get. Because the next morning, everything changed. And not in a good way. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to support our growth. You won't believe what happens in Chapter 3. I woke up to screaming. First, I thought I was dreaming. But then I heard it again. Jessica's voice, loud and angry, coming from downstairs. I looked at my clock. It was 5:30 in the morning. I jumped out of bed and ran into the hallway. Emma's door opened at the same time, and she stood there in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, what's happening?" she asked, her voice scared. "Stay here, baby," I said. "Stay in your room." "But Mommy." "Please, Emma, just stay here." I closed her door and ran downstairs. What I saw made my blood boil. Jessica was in the kitchen, and she had thrown my dishes on the floor. My plates, my bowls, my coffee mugs. Everything was shattered on the tile floor in a million pieces. "What are you doing?" I shouted. Jessica spun around. Her face was red, and her eyes were wild. She looked crazy. "These dishes are disgusting," she screamed. "They're old and chipped and ugly. I can't live in a house with dishes like this." "So you broke them?" I asked, my voice shaking with rage. "I'm replacing them," Jessica said. "Michael and I ordered new dishes yesterday. They'll be here in 2 days." But I couldn't stand looking at these anymore. Michael came running down the stairs. "Jessica, what the hell?" He stopped when he saw the broken dishes all over the floor. "She destroyed my dishes," I said to Michael, pointing at Jessica. "Your wife came into my kitchen at 5:30 in the morning and destroyed my property." "They were our dishes," Jessica said. "This is our house." "No!" I screamed. "No. They were MY dishes that I bought with MY money from MY job. You have no right to touch my things." "I have every right," Jessica screamed back. "I live here. I'm Michael's wife. That means what's his is mine, and what's yours is his, which means it's mine. That's not how it works." I was shaking now. I was so angry. "That's not how any of this works." "Everyone calm down," Michael said, holding up his hands. "Please. Let's just—" "Don't you dare tell me to calm down," I said to Michael. "Your wife just destroyed hundreds of dollars worth of my dishes, and you're telling me to calm down?" "I'll buy you new dishes," Michael said. "I don't want new dishes. I want MY dishes. Those were my grandmother's dishes. She gave them to me before she died." That wasn't entirely true. My grandmother had only given me a few of the plates. But Jessica didn't need to know that. Jessica's face changed. For just a second, she looked guilty. But then the guilty look was replaced by anger again. Well, maybe you should have taken better care of them, Jessica said. They were falling apart anyway. I took a step toward her. I actually took a step toward her with my fists clenched, ready to hit her. Michael jumped between us. Sarah, don't. Get her out of here, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Get her out of my sight before I do something I regret. This is my house too, Jessica shouted from behind Michael. Get out. I screamed so loud my throat hurt. Michael grabbed Jessica's arm and pulled her toward the stairs. She was crying now, big dramatic sobs like she was the victim. You're crazy, Jessica shouted at me as Michael dragged her up the stairs. You're a crazy, bitter woman, and everyone knows it. I stood in my destroyed kitchen, surrounded by broken pieces of my grandmother's dishes, and I felt something inside me break too. I heard a small sound behind me and turned around. Emma was standing in the doorway. She had come downstairs even though I told her not to. Her eyes were huge, and tears were running down her face. Mommy? She whispered. All the anger drained out of me in an instant. Oh, baby, I said, walking carefully over the broken dishes to get to her. It's okay. Everything's okay. Why is everyone yelling? Emma asked, her voice shaking. It was just a disagreement, I said, kneeling down and pulling her into a hug. Sometimes grown-ups disagree, but it's over now. I'm scared, Emma whispered into my shoulder. I know, baby, I know, but Mommy's here. I'll always keep you safe. I carried Emma back upstairs to her room. I sat with her in her bed and held her until she stopped crying. I don't like it when Daddy and Jessica are here, Emma said quietly. I know, honey. I don't like it either. When are they leaving? Soon, I lied. Very soon. I stayed with Emma until she fell back asleep. Then I went back downstairs to clean up the broken dishes. As I swept up the pieces, I found one of my grandmother's plates. It was the one with the little blue flowers on it. The one my grandmother had used every Sunday for her famous apple pie. It was broken in half. I sat down on the kitchen floor and cried. I cried for my grandmother. I cried for my broken marriage. I cried for Emma, who had to grow up in this nightmare. I cried for myself and the life I thought I would have. I was still sitting there when my phone rang. It was Michelle. I'm on my way over, she said as soon as I answered. How did you know? Emma texted me, Michelle said. She said there was yelling and broken dishes. Sarah, what happened? I told her everything. I'm calling the police, Michelle said. No, I said quickly. Don't. It will just make things worse. Worse? Sarah, she destroyed your property. That's a crime. And she'll say they were community property from the marriage. And then it becomes he said she said. And the police won't do anything except make a report. And then Jessica will use it against me. She'll say I'm trying to get them arrested. She'll say I'm unstable. Michelle was quiet for a moment. You're right, she finally said. God, I hate that you're right. Just come over, I said. Please, I need you. I'm already in my car. I'll be there in 15 minutes. While I waited for Michelle, I finished cleaning up the broken dishes. I saved the pieces of my grandmother's plate. Maybe I could glue it back together. Maybe it could be fixed. Or maybe some things, once broken, could never be made whole again. When Michelle arrived, she took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug. I started crying again. This can't go on, Michelle said. You can't live like this. I don't have a choice. Yes, you do. You can leave. Take Emma and stay with me for a while. And let them have the house? I asked. Let them win. This isn't about winning, Sarah. This is about your mental health. About Emma's well-being. If I leave, Michael will use it against me in court. He'll say I abandoned the property. He'll say I'm unstable. And then he might try to get more custody of Emma. Michelle looked like she wanted to argue, but she knew I was right. Then we fight back, Michelle said. We document everything. Every rule they break. Every time they damage your property. Every time they upset Emma. We build a case. A case for what? I don't know yet. But there has to be something. Some legal way to protect you and Emma. Upstairs, I heard a door open. Michael came down the stairs alone. Sarah, can we talk? He asked. I have nothing to say to you, I said. Please, just 5 minutes. Michelle crossed her arms. I'll be right here. Michael looked at Michelle, then at me. Fine. Sarah, I'm sorry about the dishes. Jessica was wrong to do that. I've talked to her, and she knows she crossed a line. Oh, she knows, I said sarcastically. Well, that makes everything better. I'll pay you for them, Michael said. Just tell me how much, and I'll write you a check. I don't want your money, Michael. I want you to control your wife. She's pregnant and emotional. Don't you dare use pregnancy as an excuse, I snapped. I was pregnant too, remember? With Emma. And I didn't go around destroying other people's property. Michael's jaw tightened. What do you want from me, Sarah? What do you want me to do? I want you to leave, I shouted. I want you to take Jessica and get out of my house and leave me and Emma alone. I can't do that, Michael said. I have a legal right to be here. Then I want you to admit that this is killing your daughter, I said. I want you to admit that living in this house with you and your pregnant wife is tearing Emma apart. Michael looked away. Emma's fine. She's not fine, I said. She cried herself to sleep this morning because she's scared. She asked me when you're leaving because she can't stand having you here. That's not true, Michael said, but his voice was uncertain. Yes, it is. Emma told me. She told Michelle. Ask her yourself if you don't believe me. Michael was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I'll talk to her. No, I said. You won't. You won't put Emma in the middle of this. You won't make her choose between us. You'll just try to be less terrible. For her sake, if not for mine. Michael nodded slowly. Okay. He went back upstairs. Michelle turned to me. Sarah, I think you should talk to a therapist. Not because you're crazy, she added quickly when she saw my face, but because this situation is traumatic. You need someone to help you process it. I can't afford a therapist. I'll pay for it, Michelle said. Please, let me help you. I was too tired to argue. Okay. And I think Emma should talk to someone too. A child therapist. This is affecting her, Sarah. You said it yourself. She was right. Emma needed help. We both did. I'll find someone, I said. Michelle stayed with me until it was time to take Emma to school. Emma was quiet again on the drive, even quieter than yesterday. How are you feeling, baby? I asked. Tired, Emma said. Did you sleep okay? Emma shook her head. I had bad dreams. My heart broke. What kind of bad dreams? I dreamed that you and Daddy were yelling, and then you disappeared, and I couldn't find you. I had to pull the car over again. I was doing that a lot lately. Emma, look at me, I said, turning to face her. I'm never going to disappear. No matter what happens with Daddy and Jessica, I will always be here. Always. Do you understand? Emma nodded, but she still looked scared. And we're going to talk to someone, I said. A special doctor who helps kids when they're feeling worried or scared. Would that be okay? Will you come with me? Emma asked. For the first visit, yes. After that, it's up to you. But the doctor is really nice, and she just wants to help you feel better. Okay, Emma said quietly. I drove her the rest of the way to school and walked her inside. Her teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, saw us and came over. Emma, why don't you go put your backpack in your cubby? Mrs. Rodriguez said with a kind smile. After Emma walked away, Mrs. Rodriguez turned to me. Is everything all right? Emma seems a bit subdued lately. I didn't know what to say. How much should I tell her teacher? We're going through some changes at home, I finally said. Her father has moved back in temporarily with his new wife. It's a complicated situation. Mrs. Rodriguez's eyes widened slightly. I see. Well, if there's anything I can do to support Emma at school, please let me know. And if you need a recommendation for a child therapist, I know several good ones. That would be helpful, I said. Thank you. Mrs. Rodriguez wrote down 3 names and phone numbers and handed them to me. These are all wonderful. My own daughter saw Dr. Chun when we went through a difficult time, and she was amazing. I thanked her and left. On the drive to work, I called Dr. Chen's office and made an appointment for Emma for next week. Then I called a therapist for myself. The first one I called couldn't see me for 6 weeks. The second one didn't take my insurance. The third one had an opening tomorrow afternoon. I'll take it, I said. At work, I couldn't concentrate again. Mrs. Chen noticed and called me into her office for the second time this week. Sarah, I'm worried about you, she said. You're clearly going through something difficult. If you need time off. I can't afford time off, I said. I need the money now more than ever. Mrs. Chun studied my face. Is it financial trouble? I didn't answer, but my face must have given me away. If you need an advance on your paycheck, Mrs. Chun started. No, I said quickly. Thank you, but no. I'll figure it out. But would I? The house needed to sell, but that could take months. And in the meantime, I had to live with Michael and Jessica. I had to watch them build their new life while mine fell apart. When I got home that afternoon, there were more boxes in the living room. New boxes that hadn't been there this morning. Jessica came out of the kitchen carrying a glass of juice. Oh, good, you're home, she said like nothing had happened this morning, like she hadn't destroyed my property and terrorized my daughter. The new dishes arrived early. Want to see them? No, I said. They're much nicer than your old ones, Jessica continued, following me as I tried to walk to the stairs. And I got matching glasses and bowls. The whole set was on sale at. I don't care, I interrupted. Well, you should care since you'll be using them too, Jessica said. Unless you want to buy your own dishes? That's fine. But then you'd need to label them so we know which ones are which. I stopped walking and turned to face her. Are you trying to make me crazy? Is that your goal here? Jessica blinked innocently. I don't know what you mean. You break my dishes, and now you're acting like nothing happened. Like you did me a favor. I did do you a favor, Jessica said. Those dishes were ugly. Now you have nice ones. I'm going upstairs, I said. Don't follow me. Don't talk to me. Just exist somewhere else. I went to my room and locked the door. I lay on my bed and stared at the ceiling. This was my life now. This was what every day would be like until the house sold. How was I supposed to survive this? My phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. Hi, Sarah. This is Amanda from down the street. I heard you're selling your house. My cousin is looking to buy in this neighborhood. Can she come see it this weekend? I sat up so fast I got dizzy. A buyer. Someone wanted to see the house. I texted back immediately. Yes. Saturday at 2 p.m. Perfect. See you then. I wanted to cry with relief. Maybe, just maybe, this nightmare would end sooner than I thought. But then I realized I had to tell Michael, and I had to get him and Jessica to clean up their mess before Saturday. The house needed to look perfect for potential buyers. I went downstairs and knocked on the guest room door. What? Jessica's voice called out. I need to talk to Michael. He's not here. He's at work. When will he be home? I don't know. Maybe 7? I sent Michael a text. We need to talk. Tonight. It's important. He texted back an hour later. Okay. After Emma goes to bed. The rest of the afternoon dragged by. Emma came home from school and we did homework together. I made dinner, chicken nuggets and carrots, Emma's second favorite meal after spaghetti. Jessica and Michael ate in their room. I was grateful. I couldn't stand to look at either of them right now. After Emma went to bed, I went downstairs and found Michael in the living room. He was alone. Where's Jessica? I asked. Taking a bath, Michael said. What did you want to talk about? Someone wants to see the house on Saturday. A serious buyer. Michael's eyes widened. Really? Yes. Which means we need to make this place look perfect. That means all your boxes need to be put away. All of Jessica's baby stuff needs to be hidden. The house needs to look like a home, not a storage unit. Michael nodded. Okay, we can do that. And Jessica needs to be on her best behavior. I continued. If she's here during the showing, she needs to be polite. She can't say anything crazy. She can't scare away the buyer. She won't, Michael said. How do you know? I asked. How do you know she won't do something to sabotage this? She seems pretty happy living here rent-free. She's not rent-free, Michael said defensively. I'm paying my half of the mortgage. Barely. And always late. Michael's jaw tightened. I'm doing my best, Sarah. Your best isn't good enough, I said. But right now I don't care. All I care about is selling this house and getting away from you and your wife. Fine, Michael said. We'll clean up. We'll be perfect. Is there anything else? Yes. Keep Jessica away from Emma until after the showing. I don't want her saying or doing anything that upsets Emma before we have to spend a whole Saturday together showing the house. You can't tell me when Jessica can and can't talk to my daughter, Michael said. Watch me, I said, because if Jessica upsets Emma again, if she makes her cry or scared or confused, I will make sure that buyer knows exactly what kind of drama comes with this house. I will tell them everything, and I guarantee they'll run away screaming. Michael stared at me. You wouldn't. Try me, I said. I have nothing left to lose, Michael. You've already taken everything. The only thing I care about now is Emma and getting out of this nightmare. So if you want to sell this house, if you want your precious equity for your precious new baby, you'll do exactly what I say. Michael looked like he wanted to argue, but then he just nodded. Fine. I went back upstairs feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Hope. Maybe the house would sell quickly. Maybe Michael and Jessica would move out. Maybe Emma and I could start over somewhere new, somewhere they couldn't touch us. Maybe this nightmare was almost over. But when I woke up on Saturday morning, I realized I was wrong. The nightmare wasn't ending. It was just beginning. Because when I went downstairs at 7 a.m. to start cleaning for the showing, I found Jessica in the kitchen. She was crying, and there was blood on the floor. Help me, Jessica whispered. Please, something's wrong with the baby. And despite everything, despite the broken dishes and the cruel words and the invasion of my home, I couldn't let her suffer. I grabbed my phone and called 911. We need an ambulance, I said. My ex-husband's wife is pregnant, and she's bleeding. Please hurry. Jessica looked at me with tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she whispered. I knelt down next to her and held her hand, and I wondered if God was testing me, or punishing me, or maybe just showing me that life is complicated, and people are complicated, and sometimes you have to help the person you hate most in the world, because it's the right thing to do, even when it tears your heart apart to do it. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Chapter 4 is coming next, and you won't believe how this story ends.